Good morning, everyone. I'm Don Harkins with Your Florida House Team and Your Florida Loan Team here on Wednesday, April 15th with a real estate market update. So last week we went and did some year-over-year comparisons for showings and median list price and inventory levels, and we're going to continue that, and we're doing week-over-week trends as well. So you can kind of see when this thing starts to turn, when we start to see the market return to normal in real time. So the stats that we have first were the number of homes listed. If you remember, last week there were 384 new listings. This week we had 317 new listings. So week over week down slightly. Year over year, in 2019 we had 711 homes listed during the same week. So year over year we're down about 55%. Week over week, we're down about 17%. So continuing the trend of sellers sitting on the sidelines. I think as we get closer to the summertime and people have those planned moves or are waiting for the kids to get out of school or homeschooling to end to make that move, I think even if we don't get completely on the other side of this, we'll probably start to see these numbers rise quite a bit, because the bottom line is there are some people that have a planned move. It's a job change. They got to get closer to family. They got to get into a different school zone. They got to get into a larger home that better meets their needs. Some of these sellers just can't put off the move forever, so we probably will start to see that change, even if we don't get completely on the other side of what's happening with the virus. The other thing we were looking at was showings year over year. And what we saw is showings are down about 60% year over year for this week. That's as of 2 days ago. That's actually up 3% off the bottom, and we've definitely seen that number bottom out. As far as I can tell, that number's been holding steady for a couple weeks now, at kind of a 60% to 65% year over year change. So we probably won't see showings decline any further, and as soon as we start to see showings tick back up, we've only got a 2-day lag on that data, so we'll be able to let sellers know buyers are jumping right back into the market. But right now, still about 2/3 of buyers sitting on the sideline compared to what we'd expect to see traditionally. And then the final thing we're monitoring for you is price change. So what we saw is this week the median list price was $289,900 compared to $279,000 last year. So that's a 3.9% increase. That's what we'd expect to see in a normal market. And this kind of continues the historical trend. Sellers are a little bit slower to price in economic information and changes than buyers are. Buyers tend to react really quickly and adjust their bid amounts, adjust their buying behavior. But sellers are a little bit more stubborn. They have to see a little bit more data to be convinced before they're going to start reflecting anything in their pricing. So we're not really seeing the decrease in showings impacting list prices just yet. It is still clearly a short-term buyer's market. So just remember, if you're a home buyer and you're out shopping right now, use that leverage. Traditionally, we'd be recommending buyers to be making offers somewhere around 97% of list price. Right now, testing the markets out, offering around 95% of list price, 94% of list price, even 93% of list price. That wouldn't be completely out of the realm of normal given what we're seeing as far as buyer activity goes. You've got some leverage there. As far as mortgages are concerned, rates remained flat over the last week, so we think there's room for them to still move down. This year, the 10-year Treasury is down a full percent, but mortgage rates are only down about 1/3 of a point. So we think there's a little bit more room for rates to come down. We're watching for the release of retail sales information. That represents about 70% of all economic data for the U.S. So that'll be released today. And then new housing starts data released tomorrow. So with the release of that information, we could see an impact on rates. And then, for home buyers, you've still got a great opportunity to go out and lock in a low purchase rate. For those homeowners that are considering refinancing, you'll probably have an opportunity in the coming weeks or in the second part of 2020 to see rates creep down a little bit lower than where they are right now. So if you're looking to refinance and the numbers just aren't there quite yet and you're kind of running scenarios, don't give up on that. They could still get there where it makes sense for you. I want to address real quick, the big headline this week was Chase's announcement that they are raising their minimum FICO score for mortgages to 700 and requiring 20% down for all new mortgages. And that headline got picked up and spread like wildfire across the internet. And we've had some sellers reach out and some buyers reach out concerned they're not going to qualify. Sellers concerned their buyers aren't going to qualify. And I wanted to take a minute to address that. Chase is a consumer bank. They're not a mortgage lender by definition. So while they do mortgages because they already have people coming into their locations, making deposits, cashing checks, doing the regular consumer banking, it's convenient and easy for them to do mortgages, but it's not their primary business. So when we get into an environment like this, it's very easy for Chase to step back on the mortgage side of the business, raise their lending standards, and decrease that and just focus on their consumer banking. What I want you to understand is there's still mortgage financing readily available from mortgage lenders, a variety of mortgage lenders that we work with. And we're seeing people get approved with scores below 700. And we're also still seeing people get mortgages for different loan products like FHA and VA loans and different conventional loans. So when you see that headline, Housing Wire loves to blast those headlines out. Don't be alarmed. Don't think that you have to have a 700 credit score to qualify. Don't think you have to have 20% down. Reach out to your local mortgage lender that's still in the business of initiating loans and go through the application process with them and see what's available to you. What we do know is that across all the investors that we work with, rents are still being paid. So you might see some headlines that X% of tenants aren't paying rent anymore. But what we're seeing here locally in Central Florida is the average investor with the average tenant, all their rents are still being paid. At least they were paid in April. So when May rents come around, it'll be interesting to see if those rent checks still come in. But on April 1st, 100% of the tenants that we've helped received rent payments from their 100% of the investors we helped, I should say, received their rent payments on April 1st from their tenants. Another popular headline that Housing Wire was spreading this week was that mortgage forbearance jumped 1,396%. And that's a huge number. It makes you think Americans have stopped paying their mortgages. The reality is that only represented 0.25% of all mortgages, less than 1%. So less than 1% of all mortgagees in America decided to opt for forbearance. It could still be potentially damaging to your credit. So we're encouraging homeowners, if you can afford to pay your mortgage, please continue to pay your mortgage. Forbearance should be a last resort type of option. But I thought that was important. These headlines that you're seeing on Facebook and that you see get spread around, there's always another side to the story. So don't make assumptions about the market based on the headlines you're seeing. They're truly designed for clicks, not to paint an accurate picture of what's going on in the housing market. I've had a couple people reach out who've been sitting on the sidelines as a buyer waiting for a buy opportunity. They want to see a price correction. They want to see a price dip before they jump in and buy their next home or buy their investment property. And I'm pretty confident saying that the buying opportunity that you're going to see in this next real estate cycle is with interest rates, not with home prices. In Central Florida, with 300,000 plus people moving here every single year and already short supply of homes, it's unlikely that this event, not that it was very short term, but relatively speaking, it is a short term event. It's very unlikely it's going to have a large enough impact to drag prices down. I'm confident saying that. So the buying opportunity that you're going to have and you're going to see is in the mortgage rates being in the low threes, high twos for some people. So if you are kind of sitting on the sidelines hoping that prices drop 5, 10, 15, 20%, I'd encourage you to go ahead and see what's out there and see what you can buy with today's financing availability and today's prices, because I think it's unlikely that you'll see dips to that degree as a result of what's happening right now. So I hope that's helpful, kind of giving you guys a picture of what we're seeing. Sellers who are listing their home right now, it's absolutely critical that you have a real 3D virtual tour, a Matterport tour. Make sure that's uploaded to all the national portals and make sure that's prominent on all the marketing that's being done. It's critical that you have text for info so people don't have to get out of their cars or register or give any information to interact with your listing right now. Buyers are definitely a little bit more standoffish, so you need to make it very, very, very easy for them to access information about your home and very easy for them to see inside your home and tour your home. So definitely, if you're listing your home right now, make sure that's a part of your agent's marketing plan. Make sure they're utilizing social media marketing. Right now, advertising is very cheap because there's so much more internet traffic happening. So make sure your agent's taking advantage of those lower prices on internet marketing to get more awareness about your listing when you do decide to list your home for sale. And as a buyer, be sure when you're out looking at properties or requesting properties, take that virtual tour, take that video tour before you go physically see the home. We don't want to put agents or yourself at risk or homeowners at risk unnecessarily. And a lot of times by clicking around and finding that virtual tour link or that video tour link, sometimes you can save yourself a showing. So take advantage of that. If you have any questions about the real estate market, if you have any questions about what it looks like to list your home right now or what the purchase process is like, or if you're considering refinancing your home or getting a new purchase mortgage, then give me a call at 321-377-0341. You can also text us and get a link for a pre-approval for a mortgage or a refinance application. So appreciate you guys watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you next week on Wednesday for another market update.